Another skirmishing type formation is known as the Germanic third rank line. This is common to Prussia and Austria and some of the Germanic minor states which are found in the Napoleonic Wars. Since these nationalities typically in their line and elite grenadier type battalions, and even in their cavalry regiments, did not have skirmishers or open order capability, they involved the system of using the third rank as the actual skirmishers. Politely said, it would be the major or the colonel of the regiment or the battalion would say, you in the third rank go out and skirmish before the battalion, and that's how they would do. They would just shuffle off. They're not an actual light company which was specific to the task at hand. They just took the third rank out. So it wasn't quite as good as a normal French voltigeur or something of that nature, or a normal light battalion, a British line battalion for instance. So to represent that in the game, you're allowed to take 1/3 of the units, or figures in this case, out of the unit and deploy them before the parent battalion. That means basically keep it within 5 inches, just like all other skirmishers. And they would come out just like so. In this Prussian battalion, we're just going to throw out 2 figures. Like that. They're semi-skirmishers, 1 to 2 inches frontage per figure, and they create a screen effect for the line battalion which is behind. Now the Prussians have one other unique characteristic in that in the later period wars, particularly in the Wars of Liberation for 1813, 14, and 15, they also included in their regiments or their line battalions and the grenadiers and even their cavalry regiments something called a Freiwilliger Jäger. Call it like an ROTC on the move here, basically reserve officer training. These were volunteers, typically armed with rifles, who would actually temporarily attach themselves as an additional platoon or company to a battalion, and they were utilized as skirmishers. Now these folks are different than the third rank, is where they're actually trained to be skirmishers, and they're armed typically with a skirmishing weapon like a rifle, and so they act just like any other normal light company of any other nation. In other words, they're full skirmishers. And as such, they would deploy out. Now typically it's just the 1 figure, but being 4 inches of frontage, it will typically cover the whole frontage of a thing, unlike where you would have to put 2 or 3 of these ordinary third rankers out there. Now this only applies to the Prussians. The Austrians did not have this capacity. Like this battalion down here, here's his Freiwilliger Jäger, and he's coming out. And this is a full skirmisher, unlike these Austrians, which are semi-skirmishers. If it was a cavalry regiment, like for instance this Cuirassier regiment, which typically has no skirmishing capacity in it whatsoever, their Freiwilliger Jäger would deploy out in front, and it would create a screening effect for this actual Cuirassier regiment as such. Now, there was one other unique little characteristic of the French dragoons in the service of Spain, and that these veteran French cavalrymen learned, due to the guerrilla actions and all that stuff going around, they would create their own inherent French dragoon skirmishing group. So them being veteran French dragoons, they have a unique capability of performing the same action of just like a Freiwilliger Jäger in the Prussian Cuirassier, a full skirmisher in front of a veteran French dragoon regiment. It's common to the French dragoons. It's not common to their Cuirassier or Carbineers or those other regiments. So this is sort of unique characteristics that the Germanic states have to counter the mass swarms of French voltigeurs or the English light battalions and things of that nature.